going to have a limited number of entrances on campus. So the gates you normally walk through may not be open because we need to only have certain gates to let students in. By Sunday night, you will get something on Canvas that shows you where you can actually enter. Okay, the biggest change, if you are coming from if you're coming from the south heading north to CHS, the two gates by the South Drive by the football field will not be open. So just you'll see the areas that you're allowed to enter. All right, Dr. Mitchell is going to put the bell schedule up, and I want to go over that. So your parents have told us they want you in cohort A. Have told us you're coming back in person. If you're coming back in person, you have been assigned a cohort, either cohort A or cohort B. If you are in cohort A, you will come to school Monday and Tuesday. Now, if you look at the bottom of 140 to 230 digital office hours, it says cohort A in person. That is confusing. You will be, if you're in cohort A, you will only be on campus Monday until 12:35. Digital office hours will be, just like it sounds, will be online, will not be in person. Now, what do you do Monday and Tuesday if you're cohort B? Well, you're gonna get, if you have a period 1, you are gonna get on your iPad from home at 8 o'clock, and the teacher will broadcast the lesson. So the teacher will be teaching students in front of them from cohort A. And if you're in cohort B, you will also be attending, but you will be attending online. All right, now this is the one that blows everybody away. And so I'm gonna say it, and then I'll try and clarify it. If you are in cohort A, and let's say Tuesday morning, you're supposed to be here for period 2. Your parents have left for work, you're home alone, and you decide, you know what? I really don't want to get out of bed today. I'm going to do period 2 Tuesday from home. And remember, you're in cohort A. So you get online like cohort B students, and you think, well, this is great. I just did it online today, no big deal. No. If you are supposed to be here, cohort A, Tuesday morning, period 2, and you have a period 2, even if you join the class online, you will be marked absent. So now we'll go, okay, what happens if your parents are at work, period 2, Tuesday morning, cohort A, you really are sick? Okay, what I would do then is join the class online if you can. Inform your parents that you did not go to class in person during period 2, and they will send an email to the attendance office saying they realize you did not go to class physically at CHS. And then we will change that absence to a presence. Many of you are asking, why in the world would we do this? There's 2 reasons. One is safety. Your parents think you're coming to school and you don't come to school, they have a right to know where you were. Number 2, it'll be way too chaotic for teachers to prepare for students in class if those numbers change every day. Now, another question is, if you are in cohort C or D, and cohort C is core or champ, cohort D means your parents don't want you to return to school. Can you go from cohort D to A or B whenever you want? No. Your parents are saying you're staying home, then you will be staying home and you'll remain in cohort D. All right. Classroom instruction, who would like to do that? One of my colleagues?
I can jump in. Classroom instruction, basically what will be happening is that you will have, the teacher will be teaching the students that are present in class. And then the rest of the group that's on Zoom, the teacher will have that video going, will have it on. And so they will be teaching a live lesson to students that are present and students that are on Zoom. What are the expectations in class? We ask that you stay in your assigned seating. We have mapped out the classrooms. We're still working on that. We have placed us 6 feet apart, and teachers will be putting together their seating charts. So we do ask that you stay in the seat that's been assigned to you. We don't want students switching seats. We want just the students that have been assigned that day for those seats to be in those seats. You are expected to maintain social distance and wear your masks. iPads are to be charged at home. We do not have charging stations at school. So you are expected to come ready, come prepared. Your iPad is like a book, and so you need to have it with you at all times and make sure that it is charged when you come to school, fully charged.
Okay, I'll jump in. The next question, we're getting a lot of questions about two things, TAs and students with gaps in schedules. So let's do gaps in schedules. Imagine that you have a schedule and you have a second period class. You do not have a fourth period class, but you do have a sixth period class. So what do you do during fourth period? So here's our recommendation. We're recommending that you not be on campus if you have a gap period. If you have a gap period, we do not take attendance for a gap period. If for some reason you need to be on campus, let's say you have a sibling or a carpool situation, you need to be on campus during your gap period, we're recommending that you go to the library. We're going to have a setup in the library for students who do not have a period. You can go there. We are counting the number of students we have in all of our physical spaces. So if the library becomes full, we'll situate you into another classroom space, okay? So again, if you have a gap in your schedule, you are not required to be physically present on campus. If you are a TA, we are asking students who are TAs to stay home and Zoom from home as a TA. If you have a need to be in the classroom, let's say again, you have a sibling situation or carpool situation, you have to be on campus, you're a TA, we will work with you and the teacher to make sure we have the appropriate number of students in the classroom. But if you're a TA and you do not have a need to be on campus, we're asking you to stay home and Zoom as a TA. We're trying to reduce the number of students on campus at any given time, okay? So once again, if you have a gap in your schedule, you do not have to be physically present on campus. If for some reason you need to be on campus, you can go to the library. If you're a TA, you do not have to be physically present in class. We're asking you to check in with your teacher as a TA through Zoom, okay? Thank you.
We'll jump in and talk about lockers. Your lockers are going to remain the same as they have in the past, with half of the capacity here, even maybe in some cases less than that. Should not be a problem. Please do not share your lockers with anybody. Don't share your books with anybody, and that'll help us with the social distancing. If you don't remember your locker combination or your locker number, which is totally plausible because we've been gone for a year, please either come to the student services window or see a proctor during passing periods. Proctors probably won't be able to let you know where your locker is or your combination in the morning when you're checking in, just because we're trying to keep the flow and get everybody to class on time. But you can come to student services window and you can check with those proctors back during the passing period. If you have decided to take a PE class, those lockers are also distanced for 6 feet apart. So your PE teacher will give you that information. We're not using any parking permits this year. So you'll be able to park. However, through ASB, Those who are using a senior spot, those students have already been contacted regarding that. At lunchtime, there will be various areas where you can grab and go your lunch. The 2 kiosks that are in Central Quad, and there will be a pop-up tent in the parking lot, so you can just grab and go. Those lunches are for grab and go and then leaving campus as well. Restrooms, we have some of the stalls roped off so that we can maintain social distancing in the restroom also. We are cleaning high-touch surfaces in restrooms 3 times a day. We will touch them up nightly also in the classrooms. And then on Wednesdays, we're going to do a deep clean where we deep clean both the restrooms and the classrooms for contact surfaces. Please make sure that you are adhering to social distancing, just like Dr. O'Connor had said at the beginning. And it's really important that you wear your mask. If you lose your mask during the day or something happens where you cannot wear it, our teachers have an emergency stash. We'll definitely provide that for you. But please make sure you keep your mask on properly. It needs to cover both your mouth and your nose all day. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen then so that we can see. Let me pull this up. So this is an example of what the symptom screening is going to look like. So every day you're going to sign in with your CUSD email address. That's super important that you use that address to get access to this. You'll click on today's date. You'll fill in your last name, your first name. You'll indicate here if you are attending in person or if you're going to be at home, but your parents will call in the reason for your absence, like we've talked about. Then it goes on to ask you symptom questions, whether or not you're feeling sick. It gives you some known COVID symptoms, which may include the following. You'll check yes or no, depending on how you're feeling. Then the final question is it will ask you if you've been exposed to a person within the last 10 days that has COVID. You'll answer that question. You'll submit. And then after you do that, you are going to get an email back. That email is going to have your the date, the current date on it, and that is your ticket to get into campus. So please make sure you have that out and ready, whether you have that on your phone or you have that on your iPad. That's going to be neat. You're going to need to show that to either an administrator or a proctor or other adult that's out there so that you can get to class.
All right, I'm not so sure, some loose ends we may not have answered. Did we talk about PE clothes? If you take a PE class, you will not necessarily, you will not need to wear CHS PE clothes, but you must be wearing clothes that are appropriate for PE. And I imagine you will get that information when you show up on Monday. If you're in a PE class and you're wearing something that is not appropriate, I am sure the teacher will talk to you about that for the next day. Health office. We have moved the health office due to COVID precautions. So if you need to go to the health office, and let's say you twisted your ankle, your teacher will give you a slip to go to the health office. When you get there, if you're there for a twisted ankle, you will be put in one area. If in the middle of the day you suddenly have a fever and aches and pains, you tell your teacher you need to go to the health office with those symptoms. You will go to the health office, but you will not be put in the same waiting area as the person whose ankle hurts because you may have COVID symptoms. So the health office is going to be in the CHS theater lobby for the rest of the school year. Okay. Some questions about if you have iPad problems, where do you go? If you have iPad problems, go to your next period, tell your teacher, and then your teacher has 2 choices. They will write a note for you to go to the library. to maybe get a new iPad, or the teacher will say, I want you to stay in class, but the library is open from till 4 p.m. every day. So you could always do that.
Dr. O'Connor, question about student IDs. So if you have your student ID, if you know where it's at after some months now, some time, a year, we do ask that you bring your student ID with you to campus. If for some reason you cannot find it, then you'll need to show us your schedule on your phones, which that should be accessible on your Student Connect or some sort of proof of your classes.
Okay, there was,
Those of you who are taking an AP exam, you will need to have a student ID in order to get into the exam. You have a whole month before you have to do that, so please plan accordingly.
they could show their driver's license or some sort of ID, correct?
I will take that as well. Typically, they want you to have a student ID in normal times, but considering this year, I'll take a California ID, I'll take a California driver's license, whatever you got.
So
I
students,
cannot take something from last year.
we're going to get back to you about student IDs. Many of you probably don't know where they are. And that would have been me in high school. I would say, what are you talking about? That was 6 months ago. But we'll get back to you an answer if we're going to actually take pictures and give new ID cards out. Right now, the answer is no, but we'll find out. Now, if a student was exposed to COVID in your class, what would be the protocol? We have a district nurse and a school site nurse. If we find out you've been exposed to COVID, appropriate notifications will be given to you and your parents. No parking permits required this year, no parking permits. My administrative team, I don't know how many questions we've missed.
I think we've been answering them.
Yeah, we're answering them. Just quite a few questions about devices. Every student has access to a district supported iPad. So if you chose at one point not to pick that up, you can still do that. If you bring a personal device, you will not have access to school Wi-Fi on a personal device. Some students are asking if they can come and bring a hotspot. That is totally up to the student. If you're using a personal device, you could bring a hotspot and use that. But if you have a personal device, you will not have access to district Wi-Fi. You will have access to district Wi-Fi if you're using a district authorized device like the iPads that we've issued to all students.
Some students don't know what classrooms they're in. Dr. Mitchell, is that on cue?
Yeah, I've answered that many times. It is visible through Student Connect. So log into Student Connect, you'll see your class schedules and you will have your teacher name and room number. If for some reason you do not see that, then email us. You can email me. You can see my email right in my just my name. Email me and I will help you with that. But that's visible through Student Connect.
Yes, Wednesdays are just like they are now. You will just check in electronically for Wolf Den. When will you return iPads and school books? At the end of the year in the library. Counselors, will they be able to be seen in person or will it be through email? Admin team, I'm not sure. We talked about that, have we? We will have to send you an answer to that. Thank you for that question. It's a good question.
Question is about Wednesdays. Wednesdays will remain the same. You will not come to school in person on Wednesdays. Wolf Den will continue for the remainder of the year and it will be remote on Zoom.
If the district provides transportation for you, if you have an IEP, then they will get a hold of you. That would still continue.
Lunch will be passed out in our 2 kiosks in the Central Quad that we had before. Plus, we'll have another drive-through station in the student parking lot along the curb at the top of the drop-off curb. So it'll all be grab and go.
Summer school, I'm going to ask you to hold off on that question right now. We will get more information. The vaccine at this point will not be required. At this point, the state has not said it's required. So don't have to get it. That's a choice between you and your family about the vaccine. Yeah, we'll put the screening link on the Wolf Den homepage on Canvas. I don't know, do we ask teachers to do that, admin team, or can we, is there one Wolf Den page we can put the screening link on? I think that would be individually.
Yeah, I think it would be individually.
I think we should have the screening tool on the website though, is that correct?
Yes.
You do not need a parking permit. You do not have to stay on campus all the way through lunch. No, you don't. In fact, at 12:35, we want as many people to go home as possible.
Question, do we submit the screening link for the days we are in person? Yes, you are submitting that link just for the days you are on campus in person. We do not need you to submit that link when you are on Zoom.
Next year, we have no idea what the fall looks like. I am predicting we will be back in person 100%, just like you were at the end of your middle of your 10th grade year. Still splitting class. I guess that means, yeah, it's only half the kids on campus at a time. I think that's what that means. Good questions. All right. Students, if you have questions, please just email one of us admin. We will do our best to answer it. We have to meet with class of 2023 in around 3 minutes. So thank you for being here, and I hope we answered as many questions as we could in this short period. Thank you.